And I was just talking to them, like, I kept on getting distracted and taking pictures on the way here. They were like, where the heck is she? I regret, like, not taking pictures. And we've got to work with such talented people that, on the downtime, you don't want to bother them and say, oh, they're on break, I don't want to ask for a picture because, we're backstage, they want off time and stuff like that. I regret not taking pictures with my coworkers because I've lost so many friends. And, you get to go home and you're like, oh my God, like at these events, it's like, one of my favorite characters is Transformers. And, Primus, he dresses up and spends thousands of dollars on his outfit. Every time I see him, I take a picture with him. Because it's memories. I mean, we don't ever, and these are cool events. We get to become fans, I become a fangirl again, and I'm not ashamed now. And I do ask about, can I take a picture with you?
She never comes into that. And
No.
that's what's really cool about you is even with somebody in less than the industry you've been in for so long, who's contributed so much too. What I love about Lisa the most is that she is so unapologetically a fangirl in the way that you love what somebody did, so you want a picture with them. There's nothing wrong with being a fan. That's all large, it's a terrible term when it's used in a derogatory manner. We're all wrestling fans, and that's why we are in it now.
Right.
We talked a lot of times, if it wasn't for you all, we wouldn't be here. And it's not a cliche, I've told it many times. If it's not for the fans, none of us would have a job, and we appreciate you more than you believe. If somebody tells you that's out, I just said, no, we make it.
And when you're talking about earthquake, when you see earthquake out in the ring wrestling people and doing the splash on areas, he's like a killer. But when you get back in the locker room, he was the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Just real soft spoken, do anything for you. Just a great guy.
You've got any stories about this warrior, about wrestling court, for instance?
Wrestling court.
Yeah.
We were just talking about
Yeah,
that.
I've never even heard of that. This is today's first day I've ever heard of that.
Somebody sent me a link and they're talking about wrestling court.
But back in our day, it was not.
Yeah, wrestling court years ago was walking up to the guy knocking on him. That was wrestling.
Wrestling court is like, if you do something bad in the industry and the boys, Undertaker and, JBL are, the judge and prosecutor, and we are taken to a court, and it's scary. I was supposed to, I was in the court.
So what do you think you put forward?
Okay, I'm so embarrassed. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, I'm so embarrassed to even mention it. Trish and I had a big angle, and we were on Air Canada, and she's Canadian. She upgraded me to first class. And in the industry, if somebody's been in the business longer than I have, I offered my first class seat to them. Even though, she bumped me up, there were a lot of the boys in the back. And I was like, I'm not comfortable sitting up here. She goes, well, I upgraded you. And I go, oh, God, I'm not comfortable. I'm just not comfortable being up here. And I was looking back at Fit Finley, and I was like, I don't want to sit up here. And he's like, I go, do you want my seat? And he's like, no, just sit up there. I sat up there, and I got ridiculed by all the boys. And did you like your first class seat? Did you like your first class seat? And I started tearing up. I'm one of the more sensitive wrestlers that I've never had a thick skin, and everything got to me. And I started like crying, and I was like, oh my God. And my response was,
I'm going to court.
no. You know what I said? I said, I bumped my ass off too. And this is what, oh yeah? I got in trouble for that comment.
Oh.
And I was supposed to go to court, but there is bribing in court. So I bought Jack Daniels, which was supposed to be Crown Royal, but they were out of Crown Royal. So I bribed them, and I bought a whole bunch of beer for them, and I bribed them, and I apologized. And I was literally, I almost quit the business because of that.
Well,
And I did.
somebody told me about this, and I honestly believe, because it's changed a lot since we were there.
Yeah.
And I was told if you do such and such, you can't play Xbox for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is like that. Yeah, Not my girl.
That, I don't know how it's got to that point, but years ago, if you had a dispute with he and I, we would handle the dispute. We didn't need, I didn't need a judge to tell me,
Right.
I'm gonna knock him out, he's
Yeah.
gonna knock me out.
Yeah. I'm more your style too. I remember in TNA too, like I had a problem working with one of the girls, and Dila was the agent, which was really bizarre because it was just weird seeing Dila as an agent, which is our coach and our boss kind of thing. And he's like, let's have a talk, let's discuss this, what the problem with you two. And I was like, yeah, I go, you think Undertaker's gonna go sit down and freaking have a conversation? I go, I'm gonna take her in the back and I'm gonna knock her out, how about that? And I got in trouble. Yeah, I was like, I'm a little bit old school too, and I'm usually very easy to get along with, but.
I think it's great that you're one of the more sensitive ones, yet you're looking.
You know, it takes a lot though for me to get to that point, you know what I mean? So that's to tell you.
Any questions, guys? Sure.
Is there any, for Victoria, is there any certain woman you wish, like, oh damn, I wish I wrestled her, and like a certain stipulation? Because obviously the women now are having like Hell in a Cell matches, whereas back then they'd have like 2-minute matches, so it's like.
Yeah, it was awesome. I went to the ladder match. I was in San Diego, so I like to sit in with the fans out there. I don't like watching it backstage. And we never had a ladder match for the girls, and I was just like, wow. But in my generation too, we still had hardcore matches, street fight. I was the first girl with Lita to have a cage match, and so there was a lot of firsts in my generation as well.
Were you ever in the ring with Sherry Sherry?
I took hair mirrors from her.
That's a hardcore match every day.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know it's about that I marked out. I was like, I just took hair mirrors from Sherry Martel. This is so awesome, right? And she only put it in too.
She knocked a couple of guys.
Yeah.
She wouldn't go to court either. She would have been the first.
Yeah, exactly.
When the boots.
Yeah. Well, she was only supposed to give me 2 hair mirrors, and I was going, keep going. And I'm like, this is my moment. I get to go everything we did. But I would like Charlotte is amazing. Ric Flair's daughter, and Paige. Reminds me a lot of my style, just like more character crazy kind of style. There's a lot of talented girls out there. A lot of talented girls on the indie scene. There's a girl I'm a huge fan, Madison Eagles. And you know Madison Eagles, she's a shimmer. Anyone? No?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of all these independent shows. I do a lot of indie shows. There's so many talented people out there. There's like, wow, why aren't they signed? But at the same time, with the indie shows, they're doing suicide dives and they're like kicking out of such dangerous moves, which I don't agree on. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit old school where, oh my God, that used to be a finish when I was wrestling. You know what I mean? And it's tough to keep up. I'm going off the subject, right? But there's so many talented girls out there that I would love to face, but I don't work that fast anymore. I'm more character-driven, facial expressions.
Question.
Who's your least favourite wrestler?
Least favorite wrestler.
Yeah, least favourite.
I'll have to go
Dave,
back.
not answer that.
I'll have to go back to the very few of them. Jacques Rougeau was one. Raymond was okay, but Jacques was arrogant and his mouth overloaded his belly. So sometimes he had to be sent to court, I guess.
Or take his X-Box away.
What was incredible is, all of our careers, we always wanted the best for the match. So whatever you had to do, that's what you did, even if you got beat or if you got beat up 90% of the match, whatever. Guys like Jacques could never do that, it was whatever was best for him at the time.
They're selfish.
Yeah, and I got along great with Jacques and played golf with him, but that was Jacques. That's how he thought he was going to be the best, was, not selling for the other guys, and then the matches were kind of the stinkers.
I'm not gonna name someone that I don't like, but there was a time
You
that
already know.
you probably already know. I got in the ring and I went to go lock up with a girl and she said, "Whoa, ease up." I was a little too tight when and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like I was like stiff lockup, meaning I was too rough, okay? And I was like, "You would not last 2 seconds with Fit Finley." I was trained under Fit Finley where you lay everything in. This is not ballet, as they say. And if you're complaining about a lockup being too tight, you're in the wrong business. So that was like, you don't want to work with someone that's so selfish and so light. You want, you want people to believe everything you're doing. So you're going to be a little bit more snug, a little bit harder in the ring, especially the girls, we're a little bit tougher.
Yeah, I know she wants something to challenge you as well, make you a better.
Yeah, oh, it threw me off. The whole match, I said my lockup was like too light. I was like, I'm gonna break this girl in half. I go like my stomps were like, I was scared. I was like, I'm gonna really, like, if she thought that was tough, wait till she takes my clothesline. You know what I mean? I'll show you tough. Watch this headlock.
Who was it? It was a hit.
Huh?
Who was it?
It was a girl. I don't want to say, because I am friends with
It was me. It was me.
Denise O'Connell.
Yes.
Lisa, you came from the best period of women's wrestling with Lita, Trish, Mickey James, Gail Kim, all of them like in 2003, like 2007. And it took like 10, maybe 12 years for it to get back with the women's revolution with Charlotte, Sasha Banks. But no one talks about your era anymore. Everyone's just like, oh, the women's revolution. Do you think, like I thought that was like the best period of women's wrestling?
I think we are acknowledged. No, it's of course the WWE is going to push what their product has now. They're not going to go back in time and say, oh, well, it'll never be the golden era, which our era was gold. They're going to push what's now. And like I said, like coming to these and hearing like feedback like that from you, and people are like, oh, you should be in the Hall of Fame. You know what? It's nice to get in the Hall of Fame, but I don't need that ring around my finger to say, I was a good wrestler. I hear from you guys going, you know what? I believed you were a great wrestler, this and that. I hear what I've done in the industry. I entertained you guys, and that was my job. I'm not there to get a pat on my back from my boss. Do you know what I mean? I did what I loved. The passion was there, and I hear from you guys how well I did it. And you know what I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but it is beautiful. No, because I was like, well, I know BS that you should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not hurt. I'm not.
We have enough jewelry. That ring was heavy as hell.
Yes. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But thank you for that. You know what I mean?
Orange shoes. Very nice. Taz.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, she's amazing. She's really amazing. The whole division is quite amazing. I do want her shoes. Yeah, right?
That's why the man was
Yeah, we were not allowed to wear brands. I had to block out my brands when I wrestled. Now they're getting, Nike shoes are giving them stuff, which I'm extremely jealous of. But no, she's an amazing wrestler. She came up to me. She's like, "How do you?" My flipping when I used to flip over the top rope and do a leg drop. She said she tried to do that move, and she's like, "I can't do it." And I'm like, it was really flattering that she was looking at my wrestling moves and trying to, it was, when they watch you, you're like, wow, they study me, Yeah, the respect thing, but I think she's amazing.
So
Do you like her?
How was Charlotte Flair working with her?
I haven't worked with her, that's one of my dream matches, no, but I remember Ric Flair calling me and saying, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I was booked on something, and he wanted me to fly out and stay at his house to train his daughter. This was before she was Charlotte. Now, how awesome is that to get a phone call from Ric Flair to say, hey, Victoria, I need you to come out and train my daughter. That's pretty much like, holy crap.
When my son was down in Florida, championship wrestling, Rick called up him and asked if he worked with Charlotte.
Awesome.
Yeah. Rick's a good guy.
Yeah, really good guy. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Can we just straight shirt right there?
You just mentioned Ric Flair. Have you got any good Ric Flair stories?
Ooh,
How much time do you
you
have?
can't really talk about it.
PG-13.
No, if you had one, then you'd top it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But Rick is he's one of the top guys in the wrestling business. He loves this business. You know, he's had some personal tragedies the last few years, and to be honest with you, I don't know how, you know, I've got 2 daughters. I don't know how I would survive if one of my daughters died, and I gave him all the credit in the world. He's gone through it. He's had some rough periods, and, you know, Barry and I see him periodically. Every time we see him, he's the old Ric Flair. You know, he's happy to talk to you, happy to be around you, and I just hope it continues for him, that's all.
That guy, you know, he's the reason why you never say retire in wrestling. You know, he's never going to get out of it. Just like, I think like us, we'll always be part of it because it bit us and it's in our blood, you know what I mean? And Ric Flair, that guy can party. I'm telling you, I used to sneak, when I go to, okay, here's one story. I would always sneak in the hotel, if we were staying at the TV hotel, I would ask someone, hey, is Ric Flair in the restaurant or in the bar? They're like, yeah, and I go, can you go open the side door, because I'm gonna sneak in, because I was not, he would not let you pass the bar without having a glass of wine or like come out, and I would say, I'm tired, I need to rest, and he goes, hold on, you can't keep up, and it was like, you know,
Pinot Noir.
There was many nights that he'd be up on the bar with his robe on, drinking, dancing, everything at 3 o'clock in the morning when the bar was closed and the place would be packed.
And all these stories are true. You hear these crazy stories. I have a very short and very, actually, a clean story. Okay, it's children, you know. So everyone knows emojis, right? Little emojis. So weirdly enough, I will text him once in a while. I'll say, you know, I'm really proud of you on Raw tonight. Good for you, Mr. Flair. It's always Mr. Flair. I just call him Mr. Flair. Oh, call me Rick. I'm like, I'm not doing that. You're Mr. Flair. So one day I said, oh, I did something on Raw, and I said, great job, Mr. Flair. That's awesome. Great to see you back on TV. And he put these little emojis, and I was like, first of all, Ric Flair uses emojis. That's hilarious. But they were little animals, and I was like, what did he had put 4 horse emojis together.
oh, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that
Did
precious?
you save it?
Yeah.
I would have saved it too.
No, he didn't. Picturing him putting emojis on the phone just
What's
like
an emoji?
Exactly.
Simple,
These little happy faces, you know, or thumbs up, like it's just,
those little hearts that you like.
Yes.
Yes.
We missed a question from this gentleman.
What was one of, in WWE, what goals did you not achieve?
What girls?
Goals.
Oh my God, for us, I think, we didn't have anything, we wanted our matches getting hard, like a little bit more intense, and we wanted every match to get better and better and better, and we, you know, bring it on. When we started having the hardcore and the street matches, which I don't want to do now, you know, at my age right now, but at the time we're like, you know, give us another match, and we hated the bikini matches, but we do what we're told.
I loved those bikini
Well,
matches.
thanks.
I did.
You did?
I did. I love like the girly ones.
Well, we, for us, like for me, my character was not the bikini kind of girl. So, but of course, if you get some bikini match, we're gonna do the best, you know, I'm gonna give you the widow's peak in my bikini, you know, I'm gonna give them my signature moves, and I'm not gonna, our outfits were skimpy enough to do bikini, but every match we just like, okay, we're gonna make it the best we can, and we didn't want to be known as the best female match on the card, or the best female, we wanted to be known as the best match, even better than the guys.
You know, and I don't watch it very often now, but I watch the women's matches over the guys' matches.
Yeah.
I think they're a lot better.
Yeah.
Because the guys' matches, everyone's the same. We were talking about it, it's the same guys every time,
Yeah.
same match, same everything.
Yeah.
The girls mix it up, and I mean, it's brutal.
Right.
It's tough.
And I think it's like we would work so much harder because we wanted respect
Yes.
from the guys.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, right? So you were like, we would lay everything in a little bit harder than what was supposed to, just to get a reaction from the fans.
But you don't need respect from the guys. You already got it. You know what I'm saying?
But at the time, you know, you're
Yeah.
like, you know, you're still like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, still walking on eggshells and wanting that respect from your coworkers, you know?
We have a question here. Okay.
Well, I've got two questions. One, I've got to get in very quickly. One, SoCal, what's the best angle you've been in? Because we haven't heard much about you. Secondly, Barry, who did you upset to get Repo Man?
I'll tell you what, I loved that interview. It was, I continued my job, got paid, and it was fun. And the way that started was I was going to end up being a babyface because I kind of wanted to end my career back then. And I did it, so I was going to turn babyface and do make stuff all over. That was kind of what my goal was. But I never could get to that. And when I went to Vince and I said, Vince, when are you going to change the babyface so I can start doing things outside the business? He says, we're never going to change the babyface. And that's when I put my notice on it. So I did love it.
So I was always, when I grew up watching, I didn't grow up, I started watching around like, I never grew up actually at all. I started watching around like 12 or 13 years old, so like, I don't know, 98, 99. And I always loved the girls who were not wrestlers. I just personally did not see myself wrestling. I loved Stephanie McMahon, is my personal Jesus, she's amazing. So I wanted to be the girl characters that spoke and that managed and you know, mostly the heel girl characters like a Stephanie. So I loved the soap opera aspect and the love triangle that she was in. So thank goodness it ended up being that I was managing for a while, got into Impact Wrestling as a ring girl, started to do more announcing, but then I was in a storyline with Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt, and it was a love triangle, which I really loved, and it was also started out as a Miss Elizabeth tribute, who I also loved and looked up to because she's very feminine. While I respect and think the wrestlers are great, I just personally resonated with, Miss Elizabeth resonated with me, so to portray her was great. Then to do the heel turn in a love triangle was just a personal accomplishment of mine because I liked the acting part and the back and forth and all that. So that was my favorite little moment.
It's hard to not laugh with those two, Jamie
I
and
know.
Sanjay. Yeah.
Especially Jay Lethal pretending to be Macho Man. It's just, yeah, we're also good friends and I'm so proud of them. They're both doing really, really well and they're grown-ups now. We were talking about that in an interview recently, that they were so good back then, but I mean, now, I got to interview Jay Lethal about a year ago for Fight TV, FITV, check it out, it's free app, it's awesome. Jim Ross approved, really plug in. But Jay Lethal, like, he did a promo and it was just like, it was one take and it was just he's so amazing now. He's just progressed even more than I ever thought he would, but your question, sir.
Barry, pre-WWF, what was your favourite match or angle as My Superstar? And I read somewhere that you were friends with Rick Rude and the Road Warriors before you were wrestlers, and so were you surprised that all of you made it to where you did, or were you surprised that anyone did?
Well, I wasn't really surprised. We all went to school together, and we went through the same training camp with Eddie Sharkey. And at that time, it was all, you know, the old school guys. And it wasn't, it was kind of a new time for people to come in, and the Road Warriors came in, and they actually kind of really beat up people. And that's kind of what got over. And it was kind of that same way we all worked, and that's kind of what got us all over. But we knew we were going to make it somewhere. And back then it was a little easier because there was territories everywhere. So we all went to different places, and we learned how to work. And we all met up at different places, like in the NWA in Charlotte. We ended up all there, and then we finally got to the WWF at that time. And I mean, it was just, you know, the greatest career ever. Working every day on the road, you're with your friends. It's like, you know, you'd be home with your wife and say, God, I gotta go to work again. As soon as you walk out the door, you kick your heels up. All right, we're going out. You know? Yeah. So it was pretty good.
I guess not my favorite, but one of my favorite angles was when I was in Charlotte as a match superstar. I had Boris Malenko as my manager. And it was actually started out as a rib. Every time Boris never smoked or drank or anything. So George Scott came up with the idea every time that I won a match, Boris had to light up this cheap cigar. And it almost gagged him and made it go. Well, I'm working against a mighty eagle. He puts me in a bear hug. Boris jumps up. Before that happened, I'm beaten up and going in for a finish. Boris jumps up prematurely, lights a cigar and turns around. And he's taunting the fans. Well, Igor grabbed me. Boris didn't know the finish. Put me in a bear hug. Boris turns around and his eyes are about this big. I grabbed a scar and I stuck it in Igor's eye. Well, that worked for about 3 years because Igor, even when his eye, ashes went in his eye, he would sandpaper his eye and got an infection. But he would go around. That worked for about 3 years. Well, one of the shows we were in Richmond, Virginia, and Inoki, and New Japan was there, and we're finishing up her ankle. And he asked me about the ankle, so I went over to Japan to the ankle with him. That was the first time I went as a single, and I got a 14-year contract out of it.
Wow.
And then on that particular tour, Dino Bravo was on the tour. He had his own territory in Montreal. I did it at Dino. So 3 cheap dollar cigars got me about 17 years. That's a good angle.
They just notified us that it is time to wrap up and we've got to get back to our table. So come see everyone. There's so much to see here right now. But give a round of applause to